Alright, students, welcome to your first lesson of our new topic called number patterns and financial arithmetic. Before we get into this topic, I'd like to give you an introduction to what this will entail. So this will be a topic that isn't in your textbooks necessarily. So most of the work that we give you will be given to you via worksheets and other books. Now, this topic will involve you learning about sequences, both arithmetic and geometric, okay, and then understanding your recurrence relations. So that's sort of the first couple steps. And then we'll understand how it relates to finances and money, okay. And then lastly, we'll be connecting all of this to a simple and compound interest application, which you would have learned in year 9 or your previous years. So let's get into the first part. So chapter 8a, number patterns, and we're gonna look into an introduction of what a number pattern is. So our learning intention for today is to understand the concept of what a sequence is, and as a success criteria, we'll be able to look at, or you hopefully be able to look for and apply a pattern in a sequence. So this topic is going to be very wordy, so I would suggest that you do write down some notes for this, as it will help you. So some definitions. A sequence is basically a list of numbers that's generated either randomly or in a pattern. So if you look at these first three sequences right here, okay, I can see that this first sequence you've got 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. So we can see that it is going up by a certain amount, and it's the same each time, and it's going to add 3 each time. So this sequence, okay, where you've got numbers going up, is a sequence where you're adding 3 to get the next number. This sequence here, 5, 10, 20, 40, 80, 160, okay, I can see that each time you go up, okay, it is multiplying by 2, so it's doubling for this sequence. Okay, so that's the pattern here. Over here, the third one, 3, 2, 5, 6, 2, 0, 32, 0. No real definitive way of finding the next number, so it's basically a random sequence. So a sequence is basically a list of numbers that are generated either randomly or with some sort of rule. Term, okay, so a term is basically the name that you give to a number in a sequence. Okay, so term is basically the number or the name that you would give for a number in a sequence. Basically, if you look at a sequence, it's normally given to you in order. Each term is labeled. So the first number is term 1, second number is term 2, third number is term 3, term 4, term 5, term 6. Okay. So in this sequence, we can see T1, okay, is the number 4. The third term, T3, is 16. The fifth term, T5, is 28. Okay, T1 here, and as it states in this little arrow, is normally your first term. Okay, and sometimes you will see, or generally you will see, T1 represented by the letter A. Okay, so if I ask you what is the letter A in this sequence, or what is T1 in this sequence, well, you're looking at the first term. That's what A means. Just a little bit of a some side note. These little numbers are called subscripts. Okay, they basically indicate the location or the term number. All right, so that's a subscript. This is a superscript. We don't really use this too much. We won't be using it for now, at least. But just understand that that's a subscript right there. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So find the next term in this sequence. Let's look through some examples. So I can see 3, 9, 15. So what would the next term be? Well, I can see 3 to 9 is adding 6. Okay, so 9 to 15 is also adding 6. So that means the next term, okay, if you add 6 to 15, should be 21. Okay, so that's the next term in that sequence. A to B, okay, B to C, D to D, C to D, D, next letter should be, well, it looks like it's gone through the letters of the alphabet. So the next one should be E. 0.1, 0.01, 0.001, 0.0001. Okay, and I can say, what do you think the next one will be? Well, it looks like this is dividing by 10 each time. Okay, dividing by 10. So if you divide then this number by 10, it should be 0.00001. Okay, so that's the next number there in that sequence. The sequence here, you can see that the number of circles increases. So that's 1 to 3 to 6, and then that should be 10. I think that's 10. So 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. Okay. So I can see that the pattern here, the next one, if I draw the next one here, there's not as much space there. So you can see that the bottom layer, or actually you can start from the top. Okay. It adds a layer of circles each time. This is the third one, so the fourth one will have, the fifth one will have another layer of circles in the bottom. It'll have 5. Okay, so that's the next sequence for these this pattern here. So I can see here it's adding 1, adds 2, adds 3, adds 4, adds 5. Okay, to get the next term. Okay, so that's basically the patterns for these sequences. Let's keep going. Another example, draw the next shape in this sequence of diagrams shown below. So, diagram 1, diagram 2, diagram 3. So we have to draw diagram 4. Okay, and I can see here diagram 1 has 3. Diagram 2, well, I'm going to count the number of blocks. That's 3. Here you've got 5. Here you've got 7. That means diagram 4 should have 9 blocks. Okay, so got 1, 2, and it's before I keep going, you can see that the blocks get added on top of the current picture. Alright, so that means if I imitate that for now, 4, 2, 3. Okay, so diagram 4 should have an extra 2 blocks on top of them. Okay, and it'll have 9. Write the sequence for the number of squares used in each block. So we've done diagram 1 has 3, diagram 2 has 5, diagram 3 has 7, diagram 4 will have 9, okay, because it's adding 2 each time. Okay, so to get the next one, it's plus 2. Find the number of squares needed for diagram 4 and 5. Okay, well, I've already got diagram 4. So diagram 4, so actually I can go, I might use D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. So you remember in the sequence, D1, diagram 1 was 3, diagram 2 was 5, diagram 3 was 7, diagram 4 was 9. Therefore, if we're adding 2 to get the next term, diagram 5 should be 11. Okay, so that means diagram 4 and diagram 5 are 9 and 11 respectively, because we're adding 2 blocks each time to get the next number or the next diagram. Alright, so let's look at this one. This example. Describe how the terms are generated in the following sequence and give the next 2 terms. Alright, so for this sequence, I can see you've started at 10, okay, and then you've got 20, 30, 40, 50. So you can see that to get the next term, what's happening? Okay, so adding 10 to get next term. Okay, so in this case here, we're adding 10. Now, the next part of the question is find the next 2 terms, or give the next 2 terms. So what we're looking for here, if this is T1, term 1, 2, term 3, term 4, and term 5, we're looking for term 6, and term 7. Okay, and we know that each time, okay, each term, to get the next term, you're adding 10, as I've written down. Okay, in there, adding 10 to get next term. So you're adding 10 to get the next number. That means that T6 and T7, you're basically adding 10 to get the next term. So in this case, 50 plus 10 should be 60, and then 60 plus 10 is 70. Okay, so that means term number 6 was 60, term number 7 was 70. Okay, let's keep going. For each of these, state the value of term 2, term 5, and term 9. Okay, so here in these examples, we're just stating the values of what is term 2, term 5, and term 9. What I find useful here is actually labeling terms. So that's term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5. Okay, but the tricky part here is we're looking for term 9, but it's not listed here. So let's first figure out what is the pattern. So 13, 20, 27, 34, 41. I believe it's adding 7 each time. Okay, so there is the pattern. It's adding 7 each time. So that means term 6, term 7, term 8, and term 9. Okay, so let's list out. Now you don't necessarily have to do these little arrows that I'm doing. I'm just putting it in so that you guys understand what's happening. Okay, because getting the next term, you have to add 7 each time. So term number 6 should be 48. Term number 7 should be 55. Term number 8 should be 62. Term number 9 is 69. Okay, so therefore, term 2 in this sequence is 20. Term 5 should be 41. And term 9 should be 69. Okay, let's do this one. So term 1, 2, term 3, term 4, term 5. Okay. And then we're looking for term 6, term 7, term 8, up to term 9. Okay, this one looks a little bit trickier. Okay, because the amount that it's going down by isn't actually quite the same. Okay, but it's going down by a certain amount. So 90 to 45, 45 to 22.5, 22.5 to 11.25, 5, and then that to 5.625. What I can see is happening here is that the numbers are getting halved each time. Okay, so it's getting multiplied by a half, or you could also say it's being divided by 2. Either or are the same. Okay, I'm just going to say it's going to be multiplied by a half. It's times a half each time to get the next term. So that's what's happening in this sequence. Getting multiplied by a half. Again, you don't have to do these arrows, but I do put them in so that you guys will understand what is happening. And that to get the next term, we're multiplying by a half. Okay, so we're now up to term number 5. I'm going to use my calculator here because I'm not smart enough to work this in my head. We're at 5.625. Okay, and we're timesing it by a half. 1/2. So that's term number 6, 2.8125. Okay. Next term, 1.40625. Okay, you can see the decimals here getting quite large. Next one, 0.703125. I might move this here. So we have space. Okay, where were we? 0.703125. And term 9 is going to be some crazy, ridiculous 0.3515625. Did I get those numbers right? 3515625. Okay. So, stating the terms or the values for term 2, term 5, and term 9. So, term 2 was 45, sorry. Term 5 is 5.625, and term 9 is 0.3515625. This topic can get a bit tedious, as you can see, but in year 11, this is the kind of way we expect you guys to express your answers. So please watch out for it and make sure you are doing what we are showing you. Okay, that's basically it for chapter 8A, guys. Please go ahead and complete the questions that your teachers will be handing out to you. And if you need to rewatch the video, go ahead and do that.